So what game are we going to be checking out today, Angry Video Game Nerd?
Mattel Electronics presents B-17 Bomber.
B-17 Bomber!
B-17 Bomber.
Hey guys, Blood Moon Bobby here, and I hope you guys like the intro I just showed you. So, as you can guess, we are going to be talking about the Intellivision today. So, in case you guys don't know, what is the Intellivision? Well, the Intellivision was this gaming console that was test marketed in 1979, and then it was widely released in 1980, and it was basically touted as the more powerful alternative to the Atari 2600. In fact, the Intellivision was basically the console that instigated the idea of a console war, because instead of people just going out there and buying the Atari as their one of a few options, here comes this more powerful console. So now it becomes a question of which system should we get? Should we get the Atari 2600 or the new Intellivision? So yeah, honestly, a lot of the games on the Intellivision look kind of dated to me, but it definitely has its place in history for being the Atari competitor, and it definitely had some, even if the games look kind of dated to me, they still definitely had its charm. In fact, one of the well-known Intellivision games, Utopia, is often credited as being one of the first God Simulator games. And I know there's definitely good games out there. I've watched Classic Game Room's review of some of its games, and if you guys know some cool Intellivision games, like even your favorite game, please let me know. I'd like to check them out. So why are we talking about the Intellivision? We are talking about the Intellivision because as the people behind the Intellivision name now are coming out with the Intellivision Amico, which is their take on a retro console by providing retro Intellivision games, and they're trying to pull in Atari VCS and saying, hey, this system will also be able to play newer games. So what will the Intellivision Amico come with? Well, first of all, I'd just like to say I really like the design of this console. As you can see behind me, it is white and sleek. Kind of looks like something from 2001, A Space Odyssey. It'll come with two Bluetooth controllers. Now, if you're wondering why the controllers look the way they are, that is because the original Intellivision had this really awkward controller where it had a number keypad, a disc controller, and some side buttons. So with the Intellivision Amico, they're trying to simplify but also kind of replicate the original Intellivision Amico's controller by having a 3.5-inch touchscreen, a disc-like controller, and some side buttons, as you can see. And and the Intellivision Amico will also play Intellivision titles like Astro Smash, Snafu, and Utopia, but you can also expect games like Pong, Centipede, and Super Burger Time. And they're promising updated graphics, new levels, and multiplayer modes. Intellivision is really touting this as a really family-friendly console, saying it's going to play what they call equal opportunity games. All the new games will be rated either E for everyone or E10 and up, and they will sell between $2.99 and $7.99, and they will not have DLC or in-app purchases, and you can also play those games online, and there will be an Intellivision online store. They're touting that they're going to have 20 brand new games at launch, and the games will be produced with, and I quote, state-of-the-art 21st century 2D image processing and graphics capability. And you can also charge the controllers wirelessly on the console itself. And you can also download an app to use up to 8 smartphones as controllers, like if you have friends coming over. And the Amico will ship with classic titles and new original games on October 10th, 2020, and they'll be priced between $149 and $179. So, sounds definitely cool on paper, and I think the Amico will find success, especially with the retro gaming crowd, either with people who remembered the Intellivision system from back in the day, or for classic gaming enthusiasts from then and now. Although, I have to say with the Amico, I wouldn't say they're off to the best start. Like, their marketing style is very reminiscent of controversial crowdfunding campaigns like the Atari VCS and Butch Hartman's Oaxis Entertainment service, where they're really, I think, making this sound like more a mountain out of a molehill, where they're saying things like, these days, gaming is really designed for the hardcore gamers, but we want to come out with a system for kids, even though you can clearly get a smartphone or a tablet or any console, particularly the Nintendo consoles like the Switch and 3DS, which have plenty of family-friendly games. Not knocking them, I really like playing especially the Nintendo games like Super Mario Odyssey, Kirby, and Mario Kart. But yeah, I would say their marketing is kind of making a mountain out of a molehill. And I know some would say, oh, well, that's just marketing. You know, they're always trying to dramatize. But I feel like this in particular, where they're trying to make the Intellivision sound like it's the absolute ultimate and only solution. It's your refuge from all that hardcore gaming stuff that isn't really meant for kids. Like, that kind of thing gives me kind of Atari, Oaxis kind of vibes. And if you go on Intellivision's Twitter, you'll notice that they're retweeting a lot of really only positive comments. So I would say hey, I'm getting kind of those Atari and Oaxis vibes. I will say what works in Intellivision's favor, and I'm not saying for me personally, is that the Amico is not a crowdfunded console, which I don't have anything against crowdfunding per se. I've donated to crowdfunding campaigns in the past, especially for people that are like, hey, I need some money to help send my pet or family member to the doctor, like those kind of campaigns. So I'm not against crowdfunding as a whole, but it's just the kind of marketing style they're going for is kind of, oh boy, here we go again. So I hope that for Intellivision's sake, like if they really want to make this console successful, they really got to have some good PR, be very transparent and friendly, especially to critics or skeptics of the console, because they may seem like haters, but they just wanted to learn more about the system. It's just something that they're not saying they want to shoot this thing down and hope it never comes to market. They're just saying, is it as good as Intellivision promises? So you'll just have to explain that to them in Intellivision. The other thing too is that I don't really see the Intellivision name as being super synonymous with video games. Now, of course, I know about it because I've been following the video game industry for the last several years, and I know it's definitely well known among retro gamers and gaming historians, pun intended, but it's not really a well-known name. Like, I don't hear it everywhere. And even, like, especially since Intellivision is targeting the Amico, especially towards families and kids, it's like, I can't think of a single person among, like, because I have, like, friends and classmates that are now old enough to marry, and some even have kids of their own. I don't think they've ever heard of the Intellivision name. And even from people back in the day, like, if I go ask my dad, who was definitely around in the late 70s, early 80s, and I ask him, hey, Dad, have you ever heard of the Intellivision? I wouldn't be surprised if he says, no, what is that? Funny enough, he's never heard of the Virtual Boy, but he is definitely interested in games. It's just that I don't know if he's ever heard of the Intellivision. So that's another thing that I think Intellivision is going to have to work against them. Like, even compared to Atari, like, you could hate the Atari VCS all you want, but Atari definitely its name is definitely more well-known than Intellivision. You know, it is well known for being, oh yeah, it was one of the first gaming companies. Like, it was sort of Nintendo before Nintendo. So I think it has that working against it. And the fact that, like, Intellivision is touting this as it's going to be designed to play really powerful 2D graphics may even be a turnoff to some kids nowadays, because you know how growing up, and even I used to be this kind of way, where whenever you would see like old movies or video games, you'd be like, oh, it's so old, why do I even want to bother? You know, Steven Spielberg once brought up how a lot of kids especially don't want to see black and white movies. And even as a kid, when I was like 6 years old and playing Animal Crossing and on the GameCube, and you got to play those NES games, I'm just like, oh, what is this really old game? So I don't really know, because I know kids will definitely want to play, like, there's definitely a lot of 3D games that kids could play, you know, games like Spyro or Crash Bandicoot or Super Mario Odyssey. Like, there are definitely some family-friendly free games that they could play. So I feel like it might be a bit limiting, and I wouldn't be surprised if some kids look at this console and say, oh, it looks so old. And chances are they're already playing games on their smartphone or tablet to begin with. Which brings me to my other thing. I know the Intellivision Amico is definitely more affordable than the average smartphone or tablet. My main concern is that it'll be another expense on top of the smartphone or tablet that most people already own. $150 to $180. Maybe it's definitely an attainable amount of money. I've made paychecks where I made that sort of money, but it's not exactly change you could find hidden under your couch. So it's going to be another expense for a lot of people to pick up. I mean, that's one of the big concerns around gaming consoles. It's like, why does my kid need to have a gaming console when they're just playing games on their smartphone or tablet? So I think those are the kind of things that are going to be working against the Intellivision Amico. And the other thing too, I kind of wished, maybe they'll announce this later on when we know more information, but I wish the Amico would either come with, or you had the option to buy a more conventional controller, like an Xbox like controller with the joysticks and the buttons, because I'm not sure if a lot of people are going to be down. And even though, the Amico's controllers aren't as clunky looking as the original Intellivision's controllers, I still think they might be a bit awkward. So I think that Intellivision should come out with more conventional looking controllers to attract people who are used to playing on their traditional gaming consoles. So I think as a whole, what I think is going to happen is, I'm not saying the Amico is going to fail. Like, it definitely has more things working for it compared to the Atari VCS, in that, one, it's not crowdfunded, which, again, crowdfunding isn't bad, but there's definitely a lot of skeptics who say things like, oh, crowdfunding is just people who start these up to get your money. But, they have a more trustworthy image out the door, and it's cheaper than the Atari VCS. The VCS starts at $239, but the Amico is said to start at $149, which I'm sure they're going to have like many bundles. Like they're probably going to have an Amico that comes with no controllers, and then they'll have a bundle with the controllers and one with the controllers, and maybe they'll include some additional games you can't get anywhere else. So it has those things going for it, but I think what's going to happen is the people behind the Amico are going to be pleased with how many retro gamers pick up the Amico, but not so much from people who buy it to play the newer kind of games. Again, because Intellivision's name isn't all that well known, and because it's going to be another expense on top of the smartphone or tablet that kids already use and the grown-ups already have because they needed to communicate with people or for work and things like that. So I think the Amico is going to be more of a success with the retro crowd rather than the more conventional gaming, compared to players like the Nintendo Switch or the PlayStation 4. So what I think the issue here with both Intellivision and the Intellivision Amico and the Atari VCS is, I feel that both companies are just biting off way more they can chew. Like, in the case of Nintendo, which I'm not saying, I'm not just being biased towards Nintendo. I've been critical of Nintendo's business decisions in the past. But what made a system like the NES Classic and the Super NES wildly successful, or the Super NES Classic, was that because they focused so much on nostalgia and going after people saying, hey, remember these systems from back in the day? We're now going to have an affordable option for you to not only play these older titles, but you can play it in a very similar looking console with very similar controllers at a good price. Because they focused so much on getting in that nostalgic retro crowd, they were able to find much more success. Now, obviously, in the case of Nintendo, they're not going to want to say, hey, the NES Classic can play new games, because then it would cannibalize sales of the Nintendo Switch and the Nintendo 3DS. But I really wish that Intellivision and Atari. I'll focus on Intellivision more so for this video because I've beaten the Atari VCS into the ground many, many times. But I really wished Intellivision just embraced that, okay, we're a system more so known with the retro crowd than for the conventional mass market. So let's just focus on making a great retro console, because the Amico definitely has the makings of a great retro console. And just make a system for people that are really going to know us, those people who either know us from back in the day, or for gaming enthusiasts that have heard the name Intellivision by studying gaming history. So I really wish that Intellivision would just focus on that, and they would have a lot more success in that way. So, and I really think that's what's going to happen when the console comes out in 2020, is that it'll mainly find success with the retro crowd. And because newer gamers or, new parents don't know Intellivision all that well, or even at all, they're not going to pick up this console as much. So, yeah. So that's how I really feel. I don't think the Amico is going to be a straight up failure, but I really wish they would just focus on the audience they know is going to make this system a success. So, alright guys, please let me know your thoughts down below on the Intellivision Amico. Are you thinking of getting one up? Are you skeptical about the system? And please let me know about some really great Intellivision games back in the day, because it definitely has its charm, and I'd like to know more about gaming history. So if you have any other ideas for videos, please let me know in the comments, or you can also email me. This has been Blood Moon Bobby, and I will see you guys later. Thank you for watching.
Let's try Bomb Squad.
Mattel Electronics presents Bomb Squad. They'll never do it in time. The code.
Alright, come on, you fucking nerd. You gotta figure this code out. Come on. The bomb's gonna blow up. What are you gonna do? You're not even pressing any buttons. Come on. You see the floor plans. You can do this. Just come fucking on. You gotta crack the code. Come on. Press buttons. What are you doing? Oh, now you're pressing buttons. But what are you gonna do, huh? What are you gonna do? Oh, you get this out? Oh, great. We're dead. Ah! Hey guys, be sure to like this Blood Moon Bobby video if you enjoyed it. Please share this video, subscribe to my channel, and leave a comment. Be sure to ring the notification bell to be notified about my latest upload. Follow me on my social media pages at Blood Moon Bobby to find out about what I'll be covering next and for more of my opinions. Thanks for watching.